Uh, the children, this will be take two, right? The children are insane and they're up and they're making noise and their mother is yelling at them. So I had to go up and and kindly talk to them and remind them about the importance of going to bed and getting rest. Decided not to drink any beer tonight. I've decided to get a little healthier. So tonight it's Pepsi. I actually love Pepsi better than beer, believe it or not. Okay, so where were we? This is the second part of this live event. I shaved the face, had the handlebar mustache, didn't like it, shaved it off. Now I have no beard. Never not going to have a beard because I look like a Cabbage Patch doll. And okay, that's great. Okay, so where was I? I was telling all of you that we're tonight, and for like the next 5 or 6 episodes, we are going to go back to the roots of this channel. We are going to revisit the toy line that started this whole channel, that created the new 80s revolution, right? That created this channel. And that's, of course, the LJN WWF Wrestling Superstars line. In fact, whenever I bring up doing another LJN show, people get so excited. Like, oh my God, we have to do it again, right? We can go back and watch your old videos. That's okay, but we want to see new LJN videos. And so that's what we're going to do tonight and going forward. Where are we? Like day 153 of the quarantine. Yeah, I don't know. I've lost track and I don't know what's going on. But first, before we get into the LJN line, I'm putting out a request. Sorry to have bothered you. Oh, what is that? Hang on. Some people. Oh, wait, man. Just got this. Anyway, how about when you don't respond to somebody on Messenger and then like a day later they say, sorry to have bothered you? What? Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, new request. New collection that I'm going for, right? How could I go for a new collection? I just started the G.I. Joes. No. I have a few fans of this channel who have sent me Facebook requests and things like that. And when you're friends with somebody on Facebook, you can see their photos, right? So you look at their photos because you're curious. And I've noticed that some of the fans of the New 80s Revolution are indeed wrestlers, indie wrestlers who have done something that most of us only dreamt of doing. They, went to wrestling school or whatever and, you know, got themselves in shape and put some tights on and got in the ring and got to wear a championship belt, something that we did as children in our living rooms with our stuffed animals and our brothers and sisters. So some of the fans of this channel are actually indie wrestlers. Well, I would like to pay homage to you, okay, by first of all calling you out on this channel and pimping your product, right? And we're going to start with you, Tyler Robinson. But what I'd like to do is I would like to purchase a signed, autographed, personalized 8x10 of you. Give me a promo pic. I want you to send me your promo pic, autographed, of course, of the New 80s Revolution. And I want to collect them. I want to collect the wrestling promo pics of my indie wrestler fans, friends of the channel. That's what I want to do. So if you are watching and you are an indie wrestler, let me know, and let me be honored to have an 8x10 of you, an autographed 8x10 of you, and of course I will pay you for the promo pick price, that you set up at your gimmick table at all the shows. I'm no different. I would like to purchase that from you. And the first person that took me up on this was a indie wrestler named Tyler Robinson, and he is a fan of the channel, a friend of the channel, and he signed a personalized photo to me, and I will be printing it out and putting it in my collection of indie wrestlers who are fans of the channel. Okay, that's all. That's it. Um, we've got our second celebrity fan of the channel, um, that I'm aware of. Our first, of course, is the great Bobby Campbell, the jackhammer Bobby Campbell, the 300-time world kickboxing champion in every weight class. He was the heavyweight champion, the light heavyweight, middleweight, even strawweight and featherweight. Bobby Campbell was champion. Uh, so we've got him, and this is big. Okay, I know we're supposed to be talking about LJNs, but this is big. Glacier, ladies and gentlemen. Glacier from WCW. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That's outstanding. I see the viewers dropping off a little bit, and that's unfortunately because we don't have live chat turned on tonight. But maybe tomorrow night we'll sit down here and we'll chat back and forth together. Actually, just I wanted to do the LJN show tonight, so that's what we're gonna do. And maybe tomorrow night we'll turn the chat on and we can all go back and forth because I know we are all bored and homebound. But I figured tonight was WrestleMania part one, and maybe there weren't going to be that many people on. But anyway, okay. So anyway, let's dive into it. We started this channel because of the LJNs. I wanted to come on here and I wanted to share my love, my deep, passionate love for this toy line and what it meant to me as a kid. Um, and when I tell you that the LJN line dominated my childhood, that is not an exaggeration. Okay. Yes, you can, there's so many different toy lines in this room right now, and there's so many different collections, and the GI Joes and the Ghostbusters and the starting lineups and the Turtles and you know I don't know, whatever else. So you would think, wow, you played with everything as a kid. No, not at all. I didn't play with anything as a kid other than the LJN wrestling figures and the Remco AWA wrestling figures. And a little later on, and then I just kind of grew up, unfortunately. LJNs were my childhood. They absolutely were my childhood from 1985 to about, I don't know, 90, 91, 92. A little bit older than I should have been, but who cares? And, they first, so I've told this story before, and since we're doing we're going back in time and we're telling the story all over again, I'll just tell the story over again. I was 8 years old when I met professional wrestling. When I met the WWF, I was 8 years old. And I remember, so the way it worked was we had a house, and so it was a 3-bedroom upstairs house, and then so it was a split level. Split levels have 3 bedrooms upstairs and a family room downstairs with like a side room, right? And the side room was an extra bedroom if you wanted it. When we first moved into the house, me and my sisters were upstairs in the two different rooms. My parents had a room, and the room in the basement just sat there empty, I guess. Well, my dad's cousin moved in. This is the same cousin that took me to WrestleMania 2. If you watch WrestleMania Memories episode, he moved in. He ran a cable line to his bedroom, 6 months, and then he moved out. And obviously, back in the day, I'm thinking this guy is like 40 or 50 years old, but in reality, he's like 19, right? But I'm 8, so he's 50 to me. So he moves out, and I don't know how, I don't remember how the idea was presented to me, but I somehow ended up moving out of my upstairs room and down into the family room basement bedroom. And again, I'm 8 years old at the time, and that's unheard of. That's unheard of. An 8-year-old that says, all right, I'll leave the safety and security of my upstairs bedroom and I'll go down into this creepy, haunted, monster infected bedroom in the 2 floors down. And I don't know. I went for it for some reason. But what came with that bedroom was the cable hookup. And for some reason, his TV was still there. I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't take his TV, but his TV was still there. And either my parents didn't pay attention, they didn't care, or they, I don't know. I'm going to go with they didn't care. I had access to the cable television and to the television all alone in my family room, 2 floors down bedroom, and nobody knew about it or nobody cared about it. And so when you go to bed and everybody goes upstairs to bed, I'm downstairs and I'm turning on the TV and I'm watching TV, right? And I'm exposed now at this point to everything that all 19 cable channels offered. Movies, scary movies. I think I discovered Nightmare on Elm Street in this little tiny, basement bedroom of mine. I think I discovered boobies, I think, in this little bedroom TV of mine. I discovered Tales from the Dark Side, I remember watching. And on a Saturday night at like 11 p.m. or midnight, little 8-year-old me discovered WWF Championship Wrestling. And I was hooked from moment one. And I remember moment one. Moment one was me flipping through the dial and coming across the Thriller song, Michael Jackson's Thriller, which was popular at the time. It was the opening theme song to Championship Wrestling. At least the midnight version in New York, it was Michael Jackson's Thriller as Hulk Hogan is coming through Madison Square Garden, clips of him beating Iron Sheik, holding up the belt, and then we go to the TV show. We start Championship Wrestling. And so what really caught my eye was the Thriller song. I was like, oh, cool, Thriller's on. I love Thriller. This isn't Thriller. This isn't the video. This is wrestling. What is this? And, it's on from there. I mean, it is on fast from there. And, fell in love from that point. And cable expanded a little bit, and we started to get TBS, Superstation TBS. And so I was exposed to a different kind of wrestling. Saturday nights at 6:05. We're talking about, of course, NWA, Championship Wrestling, on TBS. And so we got to see, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and a different kind of wrestling, a different look, studio wrestling and less characters and, and I was drawn to both. And then I think I saw the commercial. I saw the commercial at some point in 85. Now my birthday's in May, so I'm still 8 years old in 85. Uh, I'm just about to turn 9 in 85, right? So around January 85 or so, I am exposed to the first ever WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars commercial. And it blew me away completely. It was instant obsession from then. And so the first, I of course wanted the figures. I've said this a million times on this channel, we had no internet. We had no, no spoilers. We had no toy fairs that, would tell you what was coming out. We couldn't go on the wrestlingfigs.com website and see prototypes for the next series of figures. We didn't have any of that. And so your exposure to these new toys coming out was either on a commercial, which would only air when wrestling was on. Very occasionally would it air on a Saturday morning cartoon, but most of the time these commercials aired when wrestling was on. You either saw the commercial, or by the time they hit the stores, they were in a catalog. They were in a Sunday flyer insert for Kmart or Walmart, and not even Walmart back then, but Woolworths or Gold Circle we had. Or you saw them in the store accidentally. And I remember a lot of toys I found accidentally walking in the store. When we get a little deeper into this, we're going to talk about the LJN cage. And if some of you remember from a way earlier episode, 3 years ago, I discovered the cage completely by accident. Had no idea it existed until I saw it in Toys R Us and pretty much almost passed out with excitement. But anyway, the commercial aired, of course, and I wanted them. I had to have those wrestling figures. And for whatever reason, my mom went out shopping one night, and she went to Gold Circle again, which was I don't think Gold Circle was just upstate New York. I think it was like an East Coast regional type of store. Gold Circle is just like any other Walmart, Target type of store. She went out, she went shopping, and she came home, and she had two of the first 5 LJN figures. And she brought me home Andre the Giant, right? In all of his mighty, mighty Afro-ness. But this isn't too far off. I mean, this is, for nostalgia's sake, this is one of my favorite figures because it's the first one I ever got. But take that away, and this is a bad figure. This is a big, awkward, goofy figure with like a really bad face and hair, and just Andre 2 and Blackstrap Andre are worlds better than this. This is kind of a weirdo figure. But this is it. This is figure number 1 in my history. This is it. This is the first one. And she also, and I think I could use an upgrade on this guy. I mean, I don't know why he's in such poor shape. I mean, I had to have obviously bought him this way because I hadn't, I haven't played with these guys very aggressively in the past, 30 years. But he's a little beat up, but this is what I got. And look at this. I'm surprised by this. I don't know why this guy is so beat up. I don't know if my kids are down here playing with him or what, but This is the first and second figure I got, Hogan and Andre. And this shape, boys and girls, this iconic shape is the shape of my childhood. You could silhouette this figure, you could put it, I would pick this pose out of any lineup of shapes in the whole world. This is a symbol of childhood. This figure is a symbol, is the symbol of my childhood. Okay? So these are the first two figures that I got as a kid, Hogan and Andre. Now, of course, I'm thrilled because the figure comes with the championship belt, right? And what we all need to realize, and what I know all of you know, but this belt was not just made up by LJN. This belt was the championship belt style when they were probably drawing up the blueprints for these figures, which makes me think that LJN's, the concept, had to be in mind in 84, in early 84, because this belt, this style of belt, only existed from 84 to like mid 84. And then Hogan switched belts. He got a new belt that totally was different than this. This belt, when it was actually, so this style belt was worn by Iron Sheik, Bob Backlund, and Hulk Hogan for a few months into 1984, and then it switched styles. Now, it didn't have a black strap. It had a green strap, but it had 4 plates on this side and 4 plates on this side and this big, bulky middle plate. If you look closely, you can see the guy holding up the belt and the center plate. That's exactly what Bob Backlund, Iron Sheik's, and Hulk Hogan's big green belt looked like. So my guess is that LJN had these ready to go by mid 84. Mid 84, this concept is drawn up, it's thought about, it's ready to go. Now, LJN's not going to go back in 85 or mid 84 and redesign the championship belts. They're just not going to do that. They're going to keep with what they have. So that makes me think. Now, if these guys were drawn, the concept was drawn and created in 85, this belt wouldn't exist because this belt was long forgotten about by 85. This is an 84 belt. LJN's, the concept, I have to believe, was 84 because of the belt. That's a very telling clue. Another telling clue is that Hulk Hogan's 84. Okay? It's 84. It's 84. Andre's stamp is also 84 that you can't see, but trust me, it's 84. So 5 figures in 84, the next several 8 or so figures in 85. I'm locking in on that. That's it. I don't care what anybody else says. Oh, by the way, if you're new to the channel, yes, Joe Smith, I'm drinking Pepsi. I'm not out of beer. I just, I wanted to be healthy tonight. If you're new to the channel and you're watching, because I think a lot of people who didn't end up subscribing to the channel for whatever reason, really watched, the LJN videos of the past. And back in the day, I got a lot of comments of like, can you get to the point already? You're talking way too much. We're mindless YouTube watchers. We can only do 4-minute videos before our heads explode. If you're new to the channel, you're wondering why I've been babbling on for like 25 minutes and I've only shown you 2 figures. Well, because that's what the viewers of my channel have come to enjoy. So that's what we're going to keep doing. Okay. Hogan and Andre as my first 2 figures. Glorious, glorious, I'm thankful. But what on earth can I do with Hogan and Andre alone? I can have Hogan versus Andre, right? But an 8-year-old kid is not going to have Hogan versus Andre. That's sacrilege. That's that's unheard of. They're both good guys. You can't have Hogan and Andre. So, and this I'm a bit ashamed of. My first few matches with the LJN duo that I had were tag team matches. You ready? You ready for this? Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo would take on Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake, just using Hogan and Andre. How could I do that? Well, anytime Barry Windham was in the ring, Brutus Beefcake was in the ring against him. And then when Barry Windham would tag out to Mike Rotundo, Brutus Beefcake would tag out to Greg Valentine. And then we just switch. Mike Rotundo, Greg Valentine. Yeah. Okay. So don't get your kids two good guy figures, please. Now, I did not see another LJN figure until Christmas of that year. Christmas of 1985 was the very next time I saw another LJN figure. I had these two guys for 6 months. And by 6 months, I've got 6 months of wrestling, like, passion under my belt. I am dying for more figures. And so that Christmas, now by this time we've gone past the first 5 and we're into the, series 1A that I'm going to call them. And that's 8 more figures. Okay, that's Roddy Piper, that's Nikolai Volkov. We'll get into that later. So Christmas of 85, I get a bag underneath the tree. Okay, I get like a garbage bag, right? Wrapped up in paper. And of course, I peek, right? I peek at the present by tearing a hole in the bag and looking in. And I could tell that that bag was full of figures. But they weren't packaged figures. They were out of the package, ladies and gentlemen, because my mom thought that it would make more sense to tear these beautiful packages apart so that she could fit more in the bag. Yeah, that's why I don't talk to her today. Okay? So in this bag was just a bunch of loose figures stuffed in there. Now, she saved the posters for me, but, what about the card back? What about the collectible card? What about this we can't look at this yet. Just wait. So that year I got some other figures that we're not going to talk about yet. But from series 1, I got 2 more LJN wrestling figures that year. Big John Studd and Iron Sheik. Now I finally got some heels. This Big John Studd figure is one of my favorite figures. I don't know why. I think it's just the pose. I think it's the bulkiness of the figure. I think this is a way better giant style figure than Andre the Giant. But I loved this Big John Studd figure. I loved him. He was perfect play pose. Very similar to the Hogan play pose. If they made every single LJN figure in these 2 poses, I probably would have had a 9% better childhood. But it didn't matter. But these are 2 perfect LJN poses. So Hogan and Sheik, love this figure too. I mean, again, this just captures a childhood. It captures an era of wrestling. Um, it's a great pose for Iron Sheik. It's a great build, the thin but muscular. I mean, they nailed it, guys. We're talking about 1985, 1984, and they're nailing that Iron Sheik head sculpt. It's just perfect. You know, it's absolutely perfect. Now, we're going to take a look at the back of that package in a minute, but these are not. When I opened this and saw it, I thought, well, wait a minute. You know, that's not the Iron Sheik from the picture. They really cop out on these figures. They really took the low road on the Iron Sheik design, because the Iron Sheik design is supposed to look like that. Holy cow, look at that figure. That is a beautiful figure. You know, not bad. Yes, yes, Christian, if you're watching, I uploaded a video and then deleted it because my kids are beautiful children who needed some fatherly love because they wouldn't go to bed. Anyway, Big John Stud, Iron Sheik, all part of the first five, the big five, if you will. Now, this figure I never got until like 86, maybe even mid 86. And that's because I didn't know at the time, but I know now, is that he left the WWF before these figures even came out. Way before these figures came out, he left the WWF. But maybe Vince McMahon wasn't as, you know, vengeful as he is today, and just said, just, go ahead and release him. It'll be a big seller. But I think they were maybe short stocked, or I don't know. I don't know why I didn't get this guy until 86. But the fifth member of the first five, Jimmy the Superfly Snuka. And again, another iconic symbol of childhood. All five of these figures is childhood wrapped up in a package. This is it. These first five figures are my childhood. Now, obviously, the others are as well, but these first five are the most special. All right, so then I'm only going to show you a packaging for this figure. I'm not going to go through every figure carded, but this, again, I keep saying the same thing, but iconic symbols of childhood. This shiny blue card, and guys, think of our action figures today. Is there anything in the store today that's this big, action figure wise? You know how much space this took up on a hook in a toy store? These are huge. And I don't know what the deal was with production costs back in the day, or whatever, profit versus cost. But when LJN made their sort of tiny comeback this year or last year, making the Young Bucks figures, when Mattel started putting out the Hasbro retro figures, a lot of people asked Mattel, why are you doing the Hasbros? Why don't you do the LJNs? And the answer was always, it just costs too much. The packaging is too huge. The packaging will just cost too much to do. So I don't know what the deal was back in 85, but this is the packaging. This is what I would look for everywhere I went. If I went to a store that usually had these, I would look for them. If I went to a store that didn't have these, I would look for them. If I went to a grocery store, I would look for LJN figures, just hoping maybe they'd be there. But this package is my childhood, and this one is actually signed by the late great Superfly Snuka. But yeah, this is it. You know, the posters, we'll go through those later. The posters, again, iconic symbols of childhood. I'd like Tom Strickland maybe to make me a t-shirt about that says something to do with iconic symbol of childhood, because that's going to be my new tagline. But these posters that you would unroll, and you would tape to your wall, and you'd just stare at them every night, lovingly, as I did. The posters, another brilliant addition to these figures. And then, you know, the greatest part of this package is the back of the package. And this happens to be a very early release. This is a 1984 release that shows off the first 5. This card back actually increases the value of this card figure because of these first 5 figures. And back a while ago, when I was talking to the former LJN employee who was actually on the Toys That Made Us show, when I was talking to him, got close to doing an interview, and I would just have like the dumbest questions for him, like, do you remember when you lined up all 5 figures and you took the photo of them for the backs of the packages? Do you remember that, huh? Do you? Because that's what I want to know. Like, where are these set up? Are they set up on a table, like on a screen? You know, where are these guys? Where did you take this photo? That's what I want to know. And all of these are obviously prototype figures, but you can tell that the Hogan, the Sheik, and the Big John Stud figure are different than than what was released. With Sheik and Hogan, you've got slightly different hand positions. But John Stud's hands are way more together than his release. And obviously the Iron Sheik has those beautiful, beautiful tights. And his head is, for some reason, looking off in the distance, right? And so this is amazing. And you had these file cards and you know, of course, as a kid, you cut out the file card. And what I would do is I cut out each figure, right? I would just cut around each figure, and I would set the figure on a ledge that I had in my room, a shelf, and I would tape the picture of the figure underneath the figure. So you've got the picture of the figure, then you have the figure, and then you have his card taped above it, right? And maybe the poster underneath. Yeah, it was a big to do. Finally, what I consider the greatest play set of all time, right? You've got your figures. You're going to have a wrestling ring to play your figures in. And I'm going to consider this the greatest play set of all time. Yes, you know, all you Castle Grayskull, and, you know, I got the G.I. Joe stuff going on, the Terror Drome and all that. Pales in comparison, in my opinion. The greatest play set of all time and the greatest box of all time is right here. The LJN Sling'em Fling'em wrestling ring. Again, the greatest playset of all time and the greatest box of all time. And again, when I was going to interview that LJN guy, I was going to be like, who are these two guys? Where are they today? You know, where are they? Are they on Facebook? Can I send them a message? What was their experience like? Who are these two kids? Take a look at that. All right, see, we're starting to get a little deeper now. This is 85. Ring came out in 85. And as you can see, we've added some more figures to the line. And these were the figures that I got for Christmas in 85. All of these I had. I got Junkyard Dog, I got Bullcock, I got Hillbilly Jim, and I got Roddy Piper, along with Stud, Sheik, Stud and Sheik. And then Snook I got sometime in '86. But there it is. This big, beautiful box. The LJN ring. That's it, man. That is how I spent my entire childhood. Uh, Sitting in front of that ring. It's probably why I have back problems today, is because I was always sitting, discs crunching together while I was playing for hours on the floor, my LJN wrestling figures. All right, so that's that. That's part one. That is part one of the LJN wrestling figures, the first 5. Tomorrow or whenever, we're going to do part 2. And we'll just talk about that next set of figures, Volkov and Hillbilly Jim and all those guys. And we'll start talking memories and stories and matches that I would have and supercars that I would hold and all that stuff. So there we go. The LJNs Revisited, part 1 in the books. And I will see you all in the next day or two. Good night now.